Now, your hosts, Robbie Vega and Lou Alexander, the Tax Collector.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? This is your boy, LL Cool Lou. We want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Tax Collectors Podcast.
What's up? LL Coolo. I like that.
You already know. And to my left, I got Mr. Robbie Vega.
Robbie Vega. Appreciate it.
You know, we want to welcome him to the podcast. Thank you so much. You know, he's actually one of the hosts of the podcast. But today I just wanted to interview him a little bit, talking about mental health. He's actually a therapist, correct?
Yep, a licensed clinical social worker, which is aka therapist, aka clinician, aka your friendly neighborhood counselor, aka your encouraging person. There you go.
AKA, man, I need some help.
AKA your bro.
Exactly. It's my brother, guys. I know we don't look alike. I know, there's not a lot of resemblance there, but it's my brother. But anyway, so talking about in the mental health world is important. I know we've been talking about therapy and, people, individuals reaching out for help and, people that we can talk to. And you're actually a therapist yourself. And what's cool is that, I know I shared in the past that I wasn't really an advocate of therapy. Just from my experience, I didn't really felt, how it benefited me when I went to seek out a therapist, years ago. And I know talking to you, maybe like, just getting to know you and actually as my brother, but more in your profession, and just talking about things about therapy and how you kind of counsel me just in some, different, situations. You really made me a believer of therapy. You really made me a believer that, you know what? Therapy can work. It obviously depends on who the therapist is.
Yeah.
But I felt the way you related to me, and I felt like the way you were able to uplift me in certain situations, you really made me a believer that therapy can work. So, I'm glad you're here because it is pretty important. I think that the people can get more educated on what therapy is. And, so talk to me a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got into your field and your profession. Tell the whole world who you are, Mr. Robbie Vega.
Mr. Robbie Vega. All right, appreciate that intro, man. Dang.
You already know, man.
I'm going to use that next time I on a dating site.
Ooh.
Nah, I'm just joking. Definitely not.
Some Tinder? Therapy Tinder.
Tinder's kind of whack. You got to be like more upscale. You got to think about like the coffee meets bagel or like
the pizza meets salad.
The pizza meets salad. That's a good one. You should make that up.
I should make that up.
Since the Loma Boy.
The Loma Boy, guys.
LL Coolo.
LL Coolo. But anyways, talk to us about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been into kind of like the helping people kind of world just because of my background in church and youth ministries, right? Obviously, you know that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the idea of helping out people was something kind of like there for me. Like, so when I went to school, when I went to college, it's kind of figuring out what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Part of me wanted to be an engineer. Part of me wanted to be this and that, or kind of like dive into something. But
so what made you choose therapy,
because it was the easiest route. No, but I mean, two things. I think one thing is definitely the idea of helping people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the most. And second of all, honestly, I just think it was, for me personally at that time, was like the easiest route I could take, in my profession.
Right, of course.
Let's be real. Sometimes we're in college and we just kind of want to just pick a profession and just do what we do, So,
yeah, so true.
Because it's not like I went to school for therapy. I went to school for social work for my bachelor's, which is a different kind of, it's all social work world, but it's the difference, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you're a social worker doesn't mean you're a therapist, So I think once I've got my bachelor's in social work, going into my master's, and the social work field, it kind of opened up my eyes more into kind of like what therapy is and kind of the fundamentals of therapy, but it's not until I graduated with my master's and then got my LCSW, all those years of experience and how to take the test and, got my LCSW, that I've really buckled down into being a therapist.
Correct.
And so, my journey, Just began as a youth leader, helping out people within my own family. Obviously, the Latino family, we're all jacked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got issues.
So I think everyone in our family are like therapists in the sense where we're helping each other out. But at the end of the day, man, I just kind of just picked that route, man, and I just feel like it's been a route that I'm glad I picked. And it's been a lot of experiences, and I think experience is your best friend with those situations. But I've just been able to be in situations at work with my different kind of jobs I've had leading up to being a therapist. The jobs that I've had dealing with different people, dealing with different situations, and just kind of saying like, dang, we live in a broken world.
Yeah.
Like we live in such a broken world.
We do. We
do.
Know. That's so true.
And we all have needs, whether you're 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60.
Right.
We all have these needs. And my goal every time I'm working with somebody is to try to kind of like make them understand that they're not crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And make them understand that they're not weird, but try to normalize mental health and kind of say, listen, this is what we all are going through. You know what I'm saying? Just important. Because you've come, the fact that you came, to seek help is that extra step. Right?
Correct.
You're making that extra step. So that's kind of a brief kind of, dive into.
Nah, that's dope, man.
How I became a therapist, man.
That's what's up. So how long you been doing therapy work? How long have you had your license as a clinical social worker?
As a clinical social worker, I've had my license for just kind of doing my own like private practice work with the group private practice I'm involved with. Maybe I would say about 3 years.
Oh, that's what's up.
But I've been in the field for about like 10 years now.
Wow.
In a sense where when I graduated and having to have these internships and my first job really being in a very boom, you're thrown out there in the world of like psychosis and in the world of dealing with children and adolescents who have really severe needs.
Right. No, that's what's up.
And it's like, damn.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? Then you start realizing like, damn, my mom wasn't crazy. My mom just had some anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Or like my brother wasn't just an a-hole. My brother had some severe like stuff. Just kidding.
For real.
No, but you started like kind of like putting the dots together of like, oh shoot, like my ex wasn't like like bipolar. My ex just had maybe like trauma.
Listen, man, I used to think our mother had bipolar because there were some times in which, she'll come home all happy. Hey, what's going on? Then she'll walk into my room and see the mess in my room.
And she'll flip out.
And she'll start flipping out.
And then you'll think that's bipolar.
And I'm like, man, you got some bipolar
but like
issues,
not
man.
knowing like when you actually meet somebody who is bipolar, because what bipolar is this whole manic of one like a span of time, whether it could be weeks, whether you're in this manic phase where you start just wilding out, you start buying all these things, or you start maybe, being like sexually flirtatious or provocative, but you're out there, you know what I'm saying? You're just buying all these things and wasting that money, and then you go from that high, and then you go boom to a severe low of like a depression, so like that's real bipolarism, like when that stuff is happening and those cycles are happening. Bipolar is not like if your girl one day she's cool with you and then the next minute she reads a text message and she just starts flipping out because you started texting some other girl. Like that's not.
So what if like my mom walks in and when I was young and she'll be happy to see my messy room and starts flipping out? That's not bipolar.
That's called being a mom.
Yo, you know what?
It's just called being a mom.
That's called being a mom, and you're right.
That's just called being a mom. But there's like to that point though, there's like a bunch of there's just like a bunch of misunderstandings of what bipolar is, or what like schizophrenia is, or what like all these mental health sicknesses and these mental health disorders are, so but yeah.
No, I think that's dope, because it's funny because so I feel like a lot of people are not educated properly on mental health and all these mental health illnesses, and a lot of people don't understand that there's mental health illness going on, and I think it's important to make it, have an awareness, make it an awareness to the community, just especially to the hood, to the inner city.
Oh, of course. And I just think the idea that it's like, yo, you're going to therapy, like that's just weird for some people, you know what I'm saying? Or the idea that you need therapy, right? Especially like in these stigmatized cultures where therapy is a no-no,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, it's like, man, no, you are more attractive if you're going to therapy, if you seek that help. And like, you are more aware of yourself if you're seeking that help. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are more intact with your emotions if you're the one that decided to seek that help. You know, and kudos to everyone who's seeking help, man. Kudos to everyone who's going out to therapy. You know, I know there's situations where sometimes you don't have the greatest experience, but I encourage you just to kind of reevaluate the situation you're in, or maybe the therapist you have, and, you know, never be scared, or never feel like you don't have control of your own therapist. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't mean you're going to be switching therapists every week, but if it is not working out with one, you know what I'm saying? It's okay to be like, nah, it's not working out. Let me try somebody else. It's all right. It's all right to be cool with your therapist. I've had people that say, listen, it's not working out with us. You know what I'm saying? Do you recommend somebody else? And it's all good. You know, we all have different personalities and different ways of working.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome, man, that you're sharing these things, you know. What would you tell the person that, you know, needs therapy? I guess, how, you know, should they approach it? You know, like, what would you recommend how to approach therapy? Like, how to maybe, what are the first steps?
Well, I think the first step is understanding like what therapy is. You know what I'm saying? Like, having this notion of what therapy is, and make it a realistic idea of or a realistic definition of what therapy is for yourself. So therapy is not this magic wand that you're going to go to and all your problems are going to be fixed. You know what I'm saying? So I think, first of all, the person has to understand that therapy is not this miracle pill that you go, and that because you go, your situations are going to be fixed. That's not therapy, you know? So I think once you get to that place and being like, okay, I understand that's not a miracle pill, you know what I'm saying? But then the second part is understanding that you do need the support. You know, how many times are we have all these things bottled up within ourselves? You know what I'm saying? So I saw this cool meme one time about mental health. Hopefully you guys can put it up, you know. Right. It's about this. It's like a therapist and a client, and the client has like the pictures. This client with a bunch of like things on, like a bunch of like thread. I think thread all like wrapped up. And then the therapist, but like while they're speaking, the therapist is helping her unravel that messiness. You know,
that's interesting, bro.
And so I think that's what therapy is being able to express, being able to go to somebody who's neutral, being able to express yourself, and having that therapist putting things in perspective for you. You know what I'm saying? And having that therapist kind of reorganizing all your thoughts, you know, into
correct,
into a place where you're able to kind of process everything that's going on. You know, obviously, there's different kind of therapies. Obviously,
yeah, of course.
You know,
so doing therapy, all right, and now this kind of just, you know, Lou being Lou, right? When you do therapy, you know, if you have, for example, like this, you know, a beautiful, attractive woman come into your practice, are you allowed to date her?
Hell no.
Now,
I wish,
man, that I guess I ain't be no therapist.
Nah, I think there's like a rule where it's like a 10-year rule where you're not able to date like.
All right, so
for like after 10 years you see them or something.
All right, so what if I'm working with her and I'm like, man, she's hot, and I'm like, you know what? Listen, I think we're done here. I'm gonna, you know, refer you to another therapist.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. I refer her to another therapist, and then maybe like a month after, you know, she's working with the therapist, I'll be like, hey, you know, so what's up?
So you gotta be like, hey, what's up? You know, that time you came and saw me, and that never happened. All right, so technically you can't do that.
Oh,
man.
you can't do that.
Ethical stuff, man, and you don't want to. I mean, it happens, man. I'm pretty sure it happens all the time. But you know, you don't want to cross those ethical boundaries.
Of course, I get it.
So,
but it has happened though a lot.
Oh hell yeah, I'm sure it's happened. What the hell? Dudes is dudes, man. I mean, girls are girls. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it's happened. I mean, or I'm sure like it's been a few years and they didn't wait those 10 years of the whatever they say you have to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't nobody.
So what if they wait 7 years?
Do what you gotta do, man. Ain't no judgment pass.
What if 3 years pass by? How they gonna find out though? If like, okay, 2 years pass by.
You know, the funny part is there's probably some ethical ass therapists listening to this right now, and they're like, "Oh my God, he can't be saying those things." Like, shut the hell up.
Listen, man, we're just keeping it real, man.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? We're just talking. You know,
for real. Nah, but I think, you know, personally for me, man, I would kind of try to keep those ethical boundaries, because I mean, let's be real. there's been hot chicks that come into my office working with hot girls. I don't want to say chicks. That's kind of this derogatory, you know?
Right.
You know, but like hot females and hot women that come.
Right.
You know, and of course but like what happens is once your name gets stained in the professional world, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and once there's a stain on your name, it's kind of a hard, once you have that jacket, it's like we used to be in church, you know what I'm saying? You used to have that jacket of a flirtatious guy, like it's hard to take those jackets off.
So true.
You know what I'm saying? True. Especially in the therapy world, it's like I don't want people something, you know what I'm saying, a female, so her friend is going to therapy and they were like, oh yeah, I'm going to therapy with Robbie, and over there in West Haven, and then the other female will be like, oh, you hear about Robbie? You hear that he goes on dates with his clients? Nah, that's just an ugly feeling.
Nah,
like,
of course.
You know? And so I'm good. But hey, to the men out there who might be struggling with this, man, you got to control your urges, man.
Listen, guys, if your therapist is hot, or females or ladies, if your therapist is hot, you gotta wait 10 years.
Take a shot. If your therapist is hot, take a shot.
Take a shot.
Take a shot. We gonna see how ethical the therapist really is. We gonna see how ethical the therapist really is.
Have you had any cases, working in therapy that that you're like, man, I guess it's starting to maybe get to you as far as affect you, maybe. I'm sure there's a lot of situations in which we hear certain cases that, man, it just traumatizing a little bit, just to understand, to hear what's going on, and to kind of, I'm sure, to work with these families or the individuals. Have you ever had situations where you're like, man, I need to step back and maybe just refer them to somebody else because it's just affecting me, I'm taking the work home, stuff like that?
You know what, and my main and the evaluations I do for a company I work with, where we evaluate DCF children.
Okay.
We do like a medical, mental health, dental assessment on all DCF children, right? From our region, and so we get to see them. So after they get placed in foster care, we receive the stories of kind of why they were removed, right? And so many times it's those stories that really kind of are impactful. Because you're dealing with a lot of sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect. You're just hearing so many stories, and,
wow.
And so a lot of the times, those are the stories that you have to. Sometimes I have to be, like, just disciplined enough to kind of not let those affect me. I think the sexual abuse ones they really get to me.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, those are like, damn, like these.
Man, that has to be tough, man.
Come on, man. Like, you got uncles or you got like godfathers, or you got like even your own. Own dads, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, for real,
man. That's crazy.
Man, sometimes, but when I see my individual patients, man, I think sometimes I mentally get exhausted because you're taking it all in. You know what I'm saying? And I have to be so focused on, like, if someone is depressed, right? Like, one single movement of me looking at a clock could trigger them. You know what I'm saying? They could be like, oh, so you're waiting for the session to end. So I have to be so focused on them, and like so focused on their needs, and I have to be so mentally exhausted. But I always say, man, sometimes I get in the car, I put the worship music on. You know what I'm saying? I like to put some worship music on on my way home.
Jesus.
And just to kind of like de-stress myself a little bit mentally, man.
Right, of course.
Because I don't want to take those things back home. Oh, hell no. And I'm pretty good at it, man. I really.
Well, that's my other question. How do you deal with, how do you I guess, how do you work on your mental health? Like, what do you do to
a glass of wine will do the trick.
Wine, baby.
Wine
heals all.
A glass of wine always helps, man. But de-stressing yourself, and every person has to be able to know how to do it.
Right.
Because I've had colleagues who really take it all in, man, and they go home with it, and that's like, nah, you can't do that. I think I'm pretty good at it, man. Sometimes I get in my car, go get coffee, start driving, start worshiping the Lord, and when I get back home, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what, this stops there, and then I'm pretty good at it. So
that's what's up.
I don't really struggle with bringing stuff like that back home, unless it's nah. I'm pretty good at just leaving it at work, man.
I think that's pretty cool, man.
Call me emotionalist, but whatever.
It's tough, like, for example, me, I do some interpreting work. For Spanish clients. And one time they, I went to this sex offenders group class, and kind of hearing the stories I had to really keep it professional and just interpret and just mind my own business. But I was just kind of like, what the hell?
You were like, what the
You know,
hell?
talking about like a 12-year-old girl. So, there was a story about a 12-year-old girl and this guy, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if he was messing with her or something, but he was just saying stuff like, man, you know, it was like love at first sight. Like she loved me and I loved her and she wanted to be with me and, you know, stories like that. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like, what? I'm like, man, I'm just trying to take, you know, of course, I'm not judging, you know, as far as kind of like, I'm not there for that. But it was just kind of, I know, it was just interesting to understand how people think. And I'm not saying that the way they're thinking is correct or anything like that. But, you know, I guess also being in this field myself, just understanding how trauma has impacted their brain psychologically.
Oh, of course.
You know, and biologically, where,
sure.
you know, it's kind of the way they're thinking. I'm like, wow, like, you know, I guess you know, they would be maybe labeled as, you know, wow, like out of this world for thinking that way. But I'm going a little deeper, and I'm like, man, I'm sure they've been through a lot of trauma themselves that has distorted the way they think and the way they view things.
Oh, of course, man. Trauma is deep. Trauma will change the way you think. Trauma will change the way you act. What you've been through as a young person will change the way you act as an older person.
Right.
It will change your perspective on the way you view people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think trauma is I think there's therapists who specialize in trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think if you're...
Do you specialize in that?
I don't specialize in trauma. You know,
do I specialize in that? I specialize in some wine, baby. Now, I thought about it, you know, just thinking I'm like, I think it'll be hard to specialize in trauma.
Yeah, I think you have to have the patience, the compassion. You have to have the empathy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think it doesn't matter what training you do as a therapist. It does not matter what training you do. You could have the best book knowledge of therapy all you want. You could have all this DSM memorized. You could have all these interventions memorized. If you don't have compassion and empathy, then you could throw all that away. You know what I'm saying? You could throw all that away. You don't have to. There's been times that
compassion and empathy?
Compassion and empathy to your clients.
Compassion,
you know what I'm saying?
And empathy.
When someone's there, you're working with somebody, man. You have to let them feel that you care. You know what I'm saying? And that it's okay, you know, for them to be able to share the deep things that they have to share. You know, that's not act like you know it all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was one time I was meeting with a 16-year-old. This was years ago. It was like on a probation internship I was doing, and this girl might have got abused or I forgot the story, right?
Right.
And then I said something like very cliche. I was like, yeah, it's gotta be tough. I understand how you feel, you know. And then she looked at me and she was like, "Mother effer, you don't understand how I feel. They didn't do this to you.
Wow,
you're not gonna understand how I feel." So it's like that puts stuff in perspective for me because I'm like, damn, I don't really know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But I can imagine how you feel. Like, you know, I can imagine, and I'm sure this has got to be the hardest thing for you. You know, and I
that's
don't want
tough, man.
And it's like I don't want to act like I know or understand, but what I can do is just be here for you, you know, and be those ears for you, and kind of just work with you through this, you know, and if you know I could meet you at the place you're at, then we could kind of figure this out together.
Wow, that's deep, man. So, compassion and empathy. Compassion and empathy. I think that goes a long way, man. Not just in therapy, but I think
and just friendships, right?
And every relationships,
people skills, people, persons. But I mean, just on the side note, if you you know, gone through some trauma, you know, just, you know, and if you're looking for therapy in that area, I would definitely you know, recommend you to go seek those therapists and ask if they're trauma focused, if they're trauma specialized, and there's different kind of trauma and interventions, but if they're trained and they're specialized in that area, then that'd be the best route to go. So
I guess the other thing too is, I guess when you look for a therapist, or let's say I want to talk to somebody, how, like, okay, like for example, me, I want to look for, you know, I want to look for a therapist. Sometimes I have, you know, a bad motive. I'm trying to look for the hottest therapist, but sometimes it doesn't work that way, right? Because now I found out I gotta wait 10 years. So, but how, you know, I just want to think about people, you know, everyone. How do we know we're getting a good therapist, man? Because I don't want to go and get a therapist. How do I know that you relate to me? How do I know that, you know, I can talk to you? Like,
I think those are the fears and the anxiety that we have going in, right, into therapy, because we want to be able to have somebody who relates to us, right?
That's why I feel like, you know, that when we talk about the mental health world and when we talk about providers, I feel like, and I'm not, hating or judging anything like that. I do feel like we gotta be more cutting edge on the way we market our, the way you guys market. Like you guys, I just feel, when I look, for example, I work with clients that sometimes,
of course,
I'm trying to get them therapists, and when we look online, they look like real estate agents, and I'm not, bashing anyone, but I just feel like, man, I wish make a video of yourself or share or have a social media page or something where the person
just kind of be more cutting edge, and just kind of be more mainstream, I would say.
Right, like just
because we are coming into an age of social media. We're here already. Yeah. Social media advertising is just different than what it was. But to your other question, I think you have to do some research, right? Too.
Yeah.
Maybe ask around. Maybe if you have a therapist friend, if you're watching this and you want to just kind of shoot me a DM or shoot me a message and say kind of who do you recommend. Not only that, but
how can people contact you?
There's Psychology Today that you could get into. Psychology Today. There's a bunch of therapists on there with their pictures. Not that you're looking for the hottest one, but maybe you kind of look for someone who's relatable to you.
Right? No, that's important. Man. Guys, do not look for the hottest therapist. Look for someone that is relatable to you.
You're still gonna look for the hottest therapist,
of course. Listen, that's how I relate. Nah,
but
I'm a little cool, Lou, man.
And then go. Sometimes it's a hit or miss, man. Let's be honest. But if you're not connected with the therapist, speak out. Part of what a therapist's role is to kind of allow you to such an open space that you're able to be honest with that person.
Your honesty.
And then you get and then you kind of try it with somebody else, man. Sometimes it's like a like a bad relationship.
Let's talk one last topic with you that I feel like is a topic that a lot of people go through, and I don't think is addressed more from a kind of practical way. Let's talk about
to me. Give it to me, baby. Let's go.
Let's talk about depression. All right, depression. I said the magic word, fellas and ladies. Depression. I feel that a lot of people go through depression, and maybe they don't know how to deal with it, or they don't realize that it's depression. And I see depression in men a lot. I feel like depression in men is not talked a lot about. Also in women, depression, and just I guess depression kind of hits insecurity issues. Depression hits past I guess events in your life, tragedies of loved ones passing away. Depression, like what's your view on depression? Like kind of like what's going on in your opinion with the with people and depression? Like just give us your take about it.
I think depression is a very complex subject, right? I think depression affects. I don't have stats in my mind, but it has to affect half of all of us, And I mean, there's circumstantial depression due to certain circumstances that happen, right?
Right.
A death of somebody, you break up with somebody. Or you could kind of be clinically depressed, where you kind of always been depressed and kind of struggled with that your whole life, and depression could lead to suicidal thoughts, it could lead to cutting, self-harming behaviors. And the first thing I want to say about whether it's depression or anxiety, I feel like you have to be able to embrace what you have or what you struggle with. When it comes to depression or anxiety or any of these mental health and psychological,
right?
First of all, just be able to embrace the fact that you struggle with it, right?
That's good advice.
That you struggle with it. Because
you're taking my advice, but I like it.
Because I guess my open question is, I'm saying, even to people out there who are listening, like, is there a cure for depression?
Well, I mean, like they got sofrito. I heard that works. They got adobo. They got the green sauce to prove you that.
Oh, the proven green sauce will cure for like 10 minutes.
They got the lomo saltado.
Yeah, we want to get some lomo after this. Woo! Yeah.
Come on, bro.
You better owe me a lomo for doing this podcast, man.
Listen, bro. I'm trying to lose 50 pounds, bro.
Oh, that's tough. I'll put you in a depression, too.
Hey, we joke about it, but it's true. I feel that weight.
Oh, for real. For sure.
Listen, I deal with it, and not maybe not in a deep way, but I it does hit me where I feel like, man, I don't want to go out, and I don't want to go out to this spot because I'm man, they ain't gonna look at me. I do feel, I'm usually confident, but I do feel that a little bit, and do I get depressed a little bit? I do feel like I get depressed a little bit about that.
Of course, I'm looking up something from depression that really struck with me. No, but I asked that before that question. Like, do you think there's a cure for therapy? Because I'm not sure.
Cure for depression, right?
For depression,
right, okay.
Because I'm not sure if there is, man. Like, I feel like
wow. I mean, now thinking about your question, I'm like, wow. I don't even know. Is there a cure for depression? I don't even know. I wonder what people think. Is there a cure for depression? You know, aside from sofrito and adobo and the green sauce.
So, like, this is the way I think about it, the way I view it, and this is my personal belief. Like, I'm not this expert. You know, I feel like when depression, it's a battle that you're gonna have to deal with for the rest of your life. It's a mental battle, right? And it's not only depression. I don't want to single out depression. Whether you have anxiety, whether you suffer with lust, and you're married. And you have to control your urges on a daily basis so that you don't cheat on your girl. Like, these are all the things that we all struggle with, right? Like,
talk about it.
It's a situation where,
talk about
you know what I'm saying? If you struggle with feeling like crap, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to. It's a mental battle that we're gonna have to deal with on a daily basis. But
mental battle, baby.
But so, you know, but how do we deal with it in a sense? Well, okay, so now it's kind of like negative. It's kind of, I don't want to sound negative and saying that there's no cure, but there might be no cure. But there's ways that you can deal with it that are able to live a positive and healthy life. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing is obviously when you wake up, understanding that you deal with this and choosing to fight through this on a daily basis, right? And so I want to read you something from that I saw, right? This is I don't even know if he said it or it's just a meme with Jim Carrey on it. It says, "I believe depression is legitimate, but I also believe that if you don't exercise, eat nutritious food, get sunlight, get enough sleep, consume positive material, surround yourself with support, then you aren't giving yourself a fighting chance."
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Great. And that's exactly how I feel about it.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Right
like,
there.
You know, you have to exercise. You have to exercise your mind too, in terms of like, do you have a support system when you're depressed? What are the things that you turn to when you're depressed?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what are the things that are going to help you if you're feeling suicidal? What are the things that are going to help you not think about that and turn away from those thoughts? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are these things?
Right.
You know that you're going to do, and whether it's anxiety is even worse sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Where you feeling so anxious
anxiety
about
attacks, man.
With all this coronavirus, there's people who are really dealing with anxiety over
coronavirus.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I want to just kind of end it with like, you are not alone. We deal with, you know who are the most jacked up people? Want to tell you who are the most jacked up people? The people who struggle with the most depression, the most anxiety, the people who struggle with the most marital problems.
Cool.
The people, therapists. Woo. Therapist. How you think you want to become a therapist sometimes?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're the most jacked up people. How many times I see myself and with different even colleagues or just kind of like in my 10 years of just dealing with this profession.
Right.
Like looking at you and be like, dang, you're jacked the hell up. You know what I'm saying? But I give you credit for helping other people because sometimes the way we cope with our situations is by helping other people.
Right. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Deep, man.
So let's not think therapists with all these. We're all jacked up, and we're in the same fight as you are. You know, we're in the same depression and the same anxiety. Maybe not the same exact things, but we're all in this mental health thing together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I
think that's awesome you said that because I feel like people need to know that it's okay
not to be okay.
Not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
It's okay if you have depression. It's okay if you have anxiety. It's okay if you have issues like trauma issues or just relationship issues.
But it's not okay to stay stuck in it though.
No, exactly. What I'm trying to say is it's okay if you have it. It's okay to admit it. Like in other words, like you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone, we all deal with issues. We all deal with certain situations. And like Robbie was saying, you know, let's do something about it. You know, that's what this is, mental health awareness, the tax collectors. This is what we about. We're people that, you know, we've struggled with certain issues, you know, and we're just trying to make it. We're just trying to
normalize it and try to make it mainstream, saying like we're all dealing with this.
Exactly.
And it's all right, man. It's okay. It's cool, okay. Man. We got you. We're gonna do this together.
That's awesome, man. Well, anyways, man, I appreciate Robbie you coming, you know, and sharing your experience.
It was definitely a good conversation, man.
You know,
and you know what? If you haven't subscribed yet to Tax Collectors, you know
Tax Collectors, baby.
You know what I'm saying? We'll have different kind of things that we put up, man, to kind of try to encourage you through the days and through those dark times. You know, and
how can people look up, you know, your Instagram? How can people reach you?
My Instagram will be right there on the bottom, Robbie_Vega. If you have any questions, man, you know what I'm saying, you know, shoot me a message as a friend, not even as a therapist. Shoot me a message as a friend, and I will do my best to direct you and the necessary steps that you needed. You know what I'm saying, that I know best that'll help you out. This is not a substitute for therapy. So if you're really going through something, you know, seek your help. You know, if you have any questions, reach one of us out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, definitely. And we'll definitely help everyone out the best that we can.
Definitely, man. So I appreciate it.
Now,
man.
can we go eat some lomo?
Yo, let's go eat some lomo with the green sauce.
With the
LL
green
Cool,
sauce.
we out.
Let's go.